Along here on steering. I pulled this apart. Kind of an interesting setup here. I'm not sure what this is. This might be a 40s Ford axle. I don't know. Big old ball bearings in it. And what struck me as interesting is there's no thing in the bottom to adjust the brakes, and it looks like these gears up here screw in and out, and that's what adjusts the brakes. And there's a hole in the drum there, which is about right here. So I think that's how you do it. Adjust the brakes through that hole. Anyway, kind of an interesting setup. And what I did, I took this old piece of tin foil off here. I saw the problem. You know, what they did was just torch cut big old giant hole in there, and so it was just flopping up and down. Impossible to get these tied enough. So I took a piece of 3/8 steel. I made two square things with holes in them. I welded a piece here on top to mount them both together, clamped them, welded them, and now I've got this big long piece here. It's just tacked, but you can see it's moving that wheel pretty good. It's going to have to come out here, 6 or 8 inches. I'm kind of doing this one-handed, which is not the easiest thing. Anyway, it's going to have to go about right there, and it's going to have to go up about this high, so probably about there somewhere. I may just tack this on, all this garbage, just to work out the geometry. So what I'm going to do is turn this thing all the way to the left or all the way to the right, see where it's at, and make sure it'll turn both ways. Now I tried to get this bar as close to the center line of the axles as I could. Of course I can't, because there's a brake fitting there, but I don't think it'll make much difference having it a little bit in the back. I'm only off about 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm trying to do is get this thing to go way to the left, and I just clamped that bracket onto the thing there. I used my little plasma cutter. It'll just barely cut that metal there, and it popped the breaker once on 110. But I've got the wheel all the way to the lock in the front end. Oh, it's just moving it up. Well, it's starting to move. Looks like I'm gonna cut that bracket off there and tack it. It's just moving. Maybe I can clamp it a little better. Put it in the center here and just gooped it in. Looks like my tie rod's off a little, but I'm just guessing there how much we got.
Not more water on there. You got a whole bucket full.
Let's see what we got in the way of turning. Oh, it just twisted right off. Looks like I have to tack it a little better than what I did. Like when I turned it to lock, I put a piece of tape on it there against the frame to show which ways. I still had quite a bit of a steering arm left in it, and so you can see there where my weld is. I moved it out about 1.5 inches. Tacked it again. Let's see what we got for. Oh man, looks like my brace is kind of twisting off of the. Yeah, looks like I have to weld this on better too. That one wheel's on the ground, that's why it's doing that. It's not very much, but got a lot of leverage here. Anyway, I'll tack this a little better. Make sure that's in, because that piece there is going to be solid anyway. I'll just weld it in good. I got it down to 4 turns, lock to lock. I think that's good enough, and it looks like it's 6.5 inches to the back, and it looks like this is about the height. So, and I can see that even this big steel plate I got here is kind of bending and twisting a little. So I'm going to put some more on it. I'll put some kind of brace like that on it to make that all good and solid. Probably put it on the other side. I got a little more of this 1.5 inch steel. So I'll kind of make an angle iron out of that, and weld a piece on the bottom, and that'll stiffen that all up, and then I'll figure out some way of raising this up. I've got my U-joint, or the tie rod end, angled in a little bit at this point, because it was kind of set for straight right here, but in order to get enough of my travel in it, I had to extend that out. So this length is gonna give us the maximum, and there's no power steering, so we sacrificed half a turn on the wheel, and give us a little more power steering. So when it comes all the way back, I'll show you here. Right now it's pointed in towards the front of the car. Maybe 5 degrees, but you see as it reaches the end there, both sides is kind of taking a reverse. That's almost straight right there. I actually think that this should be moved in, and it will be with a heim joint. It won't be way out here. It'll be more in this area. But at least I know what I got here, and I can weld some more iron in here and brace this up. And I'll cut all this mess off of here and clean that up and get it ready to put a heim joint in it. So at least I know where I'm at. This was quite a bit of welding and cutting and polishing and welding and measuring, but I've got it all welded up. I braced it in here because I did see a little tweaking in it. I'm pretty sure that's good enough. This has all been butt welded with overlap there. It's plenty strong. I don't see any movement in it. I might have to put one more brace across here like a triangle, but I think that'll be good. And the rear or the front is down right now, and it looks like we're maybe 1 inch below the height of the pitman arm. So when the weight goes on this, you can see the springs there are opened up. When the weight goes on this, this front end's gonna come up a little. We're right against the spring perch mount right here now, so I probably ought to grind out a little bit of that. But as far as the steering goes, this front end part, that's plenty strong. I made it all out of 3/8 metal. Probably been better if I had like 3-inch pieces, but it didn't, so I just had that 1.5-inch stuff. So took a little more welding than I would like. By the way, that little Lincoln arc welder is welding 3/8 real good, and it's still running on 110, and it will run on 220, I believe. What does it say? And AC output, AC input. No, it's only 115. Well, anyway, but I got it on high here, and it's melting pretty good. I can cut my wire feed speed down a little if I have to, but it's penetrating plenty good for what I do here. And if I really need to penetrate 1/2 inch, I can fire up my other welder. Anyway, this is in, and I've got it right about the middle. You can see the 2 pieces of tape there. That's the lock to lock mark. It's right about the middle. It's pointed about the middle. And good enough for now. I think I'll just go ahead and try to reassemble this wheel. I don't know if I've got any grease around here. I can probably find something. This will have to be taken apart and greased again anyway, but I can put it together as good as I can, and we'll move on with the next part. The nut, and cut that tie rod off, welded it in. It's pretty strong, and looks like it's turning pretty decently. Kind of hitting something. You can see that arm bending just a little bit. Looks like it might be the ball joint. I don't know how far I am. Looks like I'm at the maximum. I'm going to have to weld me a stop on here. Maximum to the right. It's going pretty good. maximum to the left. I can see the ball joint moving a little bit. I don't know what the stop is there, but it's lined up with her tape mark. So it looks like it's steering all the way. And what I got here, let's say from here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 turns. Yeah, I can see that ball joint moving quite a bit there. 4.5 turns. So let's say there's 1, 2, and a quarter. That looks pretty straight. And lined up with the back. I don't know if it's going to hit that headlight when I let it down. Guess I'll let it down and find out. Well, there it is down. This arm did hit the headlight, so I loosened it up. But it's going all the way. I just quick welded a couple bolts right in here for a stop. It's in the center of the steering wheel, point is straight. It's turning the wheels pretty good all the way to the cars on it right now. And the wheels are turning nice. This joint here is still stripped and loose. And they do 4-wheel alignments for like $100 or something. So I can kind of get it, but might as well just take it down there and I'll make sure it's adjustable. But that's all I'm waiting on now is this heim joints and bungs to make a steering bar. And it'll drop it down so it won't hit it when it's jacked up. Might have to cut a little out of the middle there. But several days work here. Well, not several days, I would say 2 days, 10 or 15 hours. I got this whole thing cut apart and welded back together and good steering on it, so time adds up, but nobody expecting me to work for free. So that's it for the steering. Steering wheel is lined up pretty good. Now all I got left is hook up these mufflers, a little bit of oil pressure gauge, maybe a couple other little things that he wants, and get this thing out of here and clean up my mess, and hopefully I can get that AMX painted and move on with stuff that I want to do. On this, got the shock in mounted good. I still have to cut some spacers, but I just kind of fabricated a little header here and just kind of tacked it together. Now I'm going to pull the whole thing off the motor. On the other one, I took all these Allen bolts out, and I used just 5/8 bolts. That's what I'm going to do with this one. So I'll get it out of here, and then I'll show you what it looks like in the back and what I'm going to have to weld. Project. This is about a 56, 57 Mark 9 Jaguar. It's actually in pretty good shape. We unloaded off the trailer and got it over here today. He's got another one. This one really don't have much rust in it. Wood and stuff's not too good, but it's all here. It's even got the old leather seats and stuff. Left-hand drive, which is kind of rare. The floorboards and stuff are not rusted out. I think this is the better of the two cars. Actually, don't look too bad. I think it's got another good motor and transmission than the other one. Looks like this one here was last registered in 71 or something. But it's a nice old car. And what I'm going to do with this junk Rambler here. But maybe we'll have a little video on something about this thing as we go along. Stay tuned and like and subscribe. Header pretty much welded up. Looks pretty good. The owner come in, he was really impressed with the shocks and the front end. Thinks I'm a genius. And tunnel ram gonna go on this motor. Dual quads. He thought he was going to be able to put a couple hollies on it, but that ain't going to fly because you have to put them on sideways. But we can get a couple Edelbrocks on them. I found two of them and on eBay now. I think they're around $100 plus shipping. They'll have to be rebuilt. We got $100 worth of linkage, and finally got my money back for these headers. They argued with me that please, thank you for understanding Chinese apology, you know. But when they looked at the pictures, they finally admitted, yeah, those headers won't even come close to fitting, so they need to figure out their compatibility chart. But anyway, here's a tunnel ram going onto this, and we decided to go with the mufflers here sticking up like that. So this one's all done. I'm about ready to put it back on, and I'll use some grade 8 bolts in there instead of these Allen heads. Get this mounted back up, see what it looks like. Put it back. I just stuck this muffler on here for now, just to see what it sounds like. And I'll do the same thing on this one over here. fire this thing up and see what it does sound like with these mufflers on it. Of course, it's going to be real loud because these things are not going to be sealed at all. Well, I just stuck this muffler here with a 90 pointed at the floor. I think that ought to be a little quieter and I don't take a chance on losing my muffler. Let's see if this thing will start. It should. No, it started. Still pretty loud. Of course, I don't have any mufflers on it. Just those pipes. See if I can put a little more on it. You won't hear any leaks. Charging. Still have to figure out that oil pressure gauge. Battery's no good. I'll leave it on the charger. But it looks like my header job is pretty good. I don't see or feel anything. Now the next fun part is going to be this fun part. I'm going to be putting this muffler up through here. I'll have to jack it up and see where I can put it. I guess the first thing would be to cut this board out of here. See what we can do about this. Looks like that gas can is pretty close to the edge of the bed, so they should be fairly symmetrical. Cut them out and find out.